go take it back, try it one more time. It ain't hard to see, I've been on your mind. And I'd be lying if I say that you not on mine. Yeah, you need all of me, can barely give you time. I close my eyes and I see money. You close your eyes and you see me. I'd rather go out chasing commas. You rather run around chasing me. Don't know
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of On Campus with JB and Sciggy. You already know, this is your boy JB. And today's guest actually is one of our own. Say what's up to the folks, Sciggy.
Yo, what's good? What's good, man? This gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good episode right here.
Man, today's episode is special to me simply because this is about to be what we call a Sciggy Day, man. It's gonna be a Sciggy Day, our longest section ever of Sciggy segment ever. Sciggy Says it's basically about to happen right now. We're gonna dive into Sciggy's journey, everything in the journey, all the way up from as a kid to his point in his journey where he's at now at the University of Mercer. So straight up, let's go ahead and let's dive into it. All right. So as a kid, we talked about this in the Darren Kendrick episode, just talking about what Rock Hill is, Football USA, and everything. Not on some weird shit, but you're one of those kids that I have actually been following since you were probably in like the 7th grade, simply because that team that you guys played on and the players that come from your area, when you guys do well, like you guys are out there in national papers, medias, and stuff like that. And you're one of those kids who, you know, you're an FBU All-American and everything as a kid. So how do you go, like, what was that whole thing like as a kid? How did you get into football? When did you know you were not just good at football, but you're like that in football?
Yeah, it started early. Like growing up, I always knew I was really athletic. I mean, just at family events, I was 5, 6 years old playing with like my older cousins. Like they're 11, 12, middle school, some 13. And like obviously I wasn't the best on the field, but like, you know, they could tell that I was more athletic than the average kid. And so I tried to get into football, but they told me I was too young to play school ball then, and my dad was like, I'm not putting you in flag football. That's just way beneath you. Like I'm not even doing that. So I had to wait another year. Got into elementary school ball, and you know, that's when it kind of started. I played quarterback and defensive end when I was in elementary school.
Okay.
And then later on, in my later elementary school years, I moved to quarterback and linebacker. And that's when I kind of started falling in love with the defensive side of the ball. I was, you know, not really too concerned with scoring touchdowns. I mean, like I was good at it. I still think I have the little league record for most touchdowns in a season. We played like 6 games, I think. And I had 17 touchdowns, so it was like something ridiculous. And like there was no playoffs back then for little kids, so it was just like a ridiculous season. You know, I played pretty much every sport: football, basketball, baseball, soccer, you know, you name it. But yeah, so I fell in love with playing defense. But I mean, I was still little. Like I was always tiny up until high school, but I was really small, really little, and I was playing linebacker. And so we get to like 5th, 6th grade, and it's not looking like I'm gonna grow like any more than I should be at that time. So my dad was like, all right, we're going to start you playing like some corner safety. And I hated playing corner. It just felt boring. Because in Little League, like, there's no throwing the ball.
Exactly.
And everybody just plays like inside the box. You know, you got your ISOs, you got your zone reads and stuff like that. So moved me to safety. So it's basically like I went back to linebacker because I would sneak my way up into the box every time. But then we get into let's see, this is my 6th grade spring going into 7th grade, and there was a thing called junior rank. I don't know if you know what that is. So junior rank was a middle school All-American thing.
Okay.
That's actually where I met Clifton Duck. You know, that's when he became like a big name because he would participate in that. And he was a man amongst boys when we were like younger. He was always like that. But
Yeah.
um yeah, junior rank, we had like the little camp tryout thing, whatever, and then they picked a certain amount of kids from across the country. And me and Jamari, my homeboy, you know
Yeah.
Jamari. Yeah.
James Matt. He
James,
plays corner at
yeah.
JMU now.
Yeah, me and him ended up flying out to Cali to play in that junior rank like all American game as middle schoolers.
Yeah.
So that was pretty lit. And then the next year we come back, it's seventh grade ball. And this is like kind of where, the slept on thing about me came. Like I'm growing up, I'm used to being like the guy
The guy.
on the team. And seventh grade, like even though we had all played together, when we got to middle school, like I kind of fell a little bit below. Nobody really knew who I was, like the
Mm.
coaching staff or anything. So beginning of seventh grade, I I think they had me at slot on offense first. And then like I said, I never really cared about offense. And then defensive wise, I was like a backup, like at safety or something, like
Wow.
second or third string. So I would play every offensive drive and then go back on the bench for defense. But like it wasn't up until the York game. So my seventh grade year, we played York in a jamboree, and they beat the hell out of us. Like it was like 36-6, and that was like our first middle school game. So
Yeah.
all of us were, we shook or whatever. And so, like I said, I've been playing slot offensively, and still at that time, you don't really throw the ball that much. So I wasn't really doing anything. Um, gets to we play York again later in the season because they're in our little like middle school division or whatever. And yeah, they kept running like a read option, and every time the defensive end would crash,
Yeah.
crash. And our coach was like, "Why the heck ain't anybody listening to that? Just stay there." I, you know me, the type of guy that I just want to be on the field. I'm like, "Well, shit, just put me at the end." And I swear to God, they put me at the end in like the second half. I must have had like 7, 8 tackles from that game, and we ended up winning that game. And then like the next week, um, Jamari, he was our quarterback at the time, and I forget if he got hurt or what happened, but they ended up putting me at quarterback because I was starting slot but backup quarterback,
Yeah.
and they ended up putting me at quarterback. We end up winning the game, and then the next week they start me at quarterback. We play our crosstown rival Dutchman Creek. So Dutchman Creek is like the pipeline to Northwestern, to where Saluda
Okay.
Trail is the pipeline to South Point. So it was
Yeah.
already that little rivalry. I went off like crazy. I think I threw for 5 or 6 touchdowns for like 400 yards. I swear to God, it was insane.
Oh,
And this is a middle school seventh grade game, and so
that boy with RG3.
yeah, bro. I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago or like a couple months ago, or no, shit, that was last year, when last year Mahomes got his deal. And
Yeah.
I was like, me seeing Mahomes get that deal, and it was a picture of me playing quarterback. That was that game against Dutchman Creek. That picture came from. I was swagged out. I had that big ass jersey on with those bulky pants and gold cleats, man. I was
Oh,
swagged out, man. But yeah, I went crazy that game, man. And eighth grade year we dominated per usual, and then we get into high school. High school, I don't want to play any more offense. Like I told the coach, like, I don't want to play offense. I want to, play defensive back. Boom, end up playing wide receiver
and play
and
wide receiver games I went to.
and on defense I played what we call the stallion position, which is basically a
Like
nickel.
a
But
nickel. Yeah.
yeah, it was more in the box than a nickel, but like still that same outside linebacker type of deal you had going on. Um, ninth grade, we dominate per usual, win state. But so everybody back then when Heron was the head coach at South Point,
Yeah.
straight Heron, everybody, don't matter who you were, you had to play ninth grade for the ninth grade team, and then after that, you got moved up. So me, DK, Eli Adams, Jamari, and Steve Gilmore, we all got moved up at the end of the season to play varsity.
Hold on. Go ahead and run through that list again. So this is the list. You got Eli Adams at Virginia Tech, plays outside linebacker DN type. Jamari Currents now plays corner at JMU, which is James Madison. Stephen Gilmore, who's Stephon Gilmore's little brother, now is a starting cornerback at Marshall. He's going to be an NFL draft prospect next year.
Yeah,
and we all know about DK, Darion Kendrick, who we have on the show, and now he's at UGA. He's probably going to be a first-round pick this year. And then we have you, who's at Mercer. Like, this was the elite team in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like that wasn't it though. That's just the names people know.
Others, that's the crazy part.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's so many people that was on that team. That's gonna have to be a separate conversation. But so 10th grade, me thinking like, yo, we all got moved up last year. I'm ready to ball out, play some varsity ball. They put me on JV for my 10th grade year.
Oh, they tried you.
Yeah. JV was, and now looking back at it, like it was kind of good because I wouldn't have played that much just due to who was there. But and like I mean, it did help me develop a little bit better. With my defensive back skills, just seeing stuff in game. Because like before then, I was just like way smarter than everybody. I was just out athleting people. But then like JV, I actually kind of had to start like reading concepts and picking up stuff like that. So looking back at it, I mean, yeah, it was a good thing. But in the time, like I was pissed. Like it felt like every game was a revenge tour. I was just trying to go dumb. It literally looks like, if you watch my JV film from that year, it looks like I'm playing with like elementary school kids. That's just how far advanced I was. But so I ended up playing JV that year. Oh, let's go back. Freshman year, I was the top DB in the state.
Yes. Hold on. We spoke about this too when I mentioned the FBU All-American thing.
Yeah.
So here was another question for you. FBU is, football university. For those who don't know what that is, they have like an All-American game for middle schoolers, 7th grade or 8th grade, and all that stuff. So you're pretty much recognized as one of the better middle schoolers in America at this point, in the country at this point. And you're known as, you talked about how you've always been used to being the man. You kind of step into high school in that area, and you kind of start to figure out the politics of what football is. Not just at the high school, not just at the high school level, but at the recruiting level, because we're talking about you going from one of the top recognized kids in America as a middle schooler to no shot to South Carolina State, where you committed to out of high school. But, when you're in middle school, you're probably thinking, I'm going to end up at Georgia, Clemson, South Carolina, one of those schools. Like, how did you deal with? Because I know that's probably a lot for a kid to be like, wow, you feel like you had your fall of grace at like 15. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
what was that like mentally for you?
Yeah. So 8th grade going into 9th grade, I was the top DB in the state of South Carolina. It's like FBU, they have their regional camp, and then like the best from the regional camp go to Top Gun, and like you basically perform from there. And like people are selected from there to be All-Americans next year, their freshman year in high school. So that my freshman year, like I said, we went through the season, dominated one state, and then like after that, I played for the Team USA National All-American team, and then after that was the FBU All-American freshman game. So on that team, on my team, it was me, Buki, Trevor Lawrence, Dorian Robinson, Thompson Robinson, UCLA QB.
Yeah.
Um, a bunch of other guys. And on the other side, I don't know if golly, what's the kid's name? The corner at Auburn, he returns punts for them too. I
Oh,
cannot
Christian
forget.
Tutt. Christian
Yeah,
Tutt.
Christian Tutt. Yeah, he was there. I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, Christian Tutt was there. Um, just a bunch of guys that you see at that top level now, like Power Five. So me thinking like I'm there, I performed pretty well. I returned a missed field goal for some yards. I had like two pass breakups, didn't give up any TDs or anything. Fun experience, learned a lot. So like me thinking going to my next grade year, I'm the top DB in the state of South Carolina. Um, the only other person from South Carolina that was at that thing was Jake Venables. He was there. So the next year, I'm thinking like I'm a guy. I get put on JV, like you know,
Yeah.
like I'm pissed. So it hit me hard, really though. But you know me, I try to see the optimism in everything.
Mm.
Like at first, I was real mad. It still kind of like hurts to this day. Like, damn, I was put on JV. Like, I know what I can do. Why was I? But and that's not like a shot at Coach Heron or anything, because like me and him are really tight. Last year when Corona was going on and we couldn't play, I helped him coach at Legion just because that's my guy. Like, we're really really tight, and that's why I thank him for what he did, because it did help me develop into the football player I am today. So, um, 10th grade JV, 11th grade, it's all of us back on the same team again. Um, I I started at safety because I went like ballistic that summer in 7-on-7. Um, at at the Cam Newton thing, you know the tournament they host up in
Yeah.
Charlotte. I won defensive MVP.
Shit.
I went crazy at that tournament. And I'm not saying all this to like toot my own horn. I'm just telling you like how I perceived myself as a guy that was going to go Power 5. Why I
For
thought that.
sure.
So like I said, I went crazy, and then the start of the season happened. First game, 11th grade year, we played Northwestern, and
Mm.
I played damn terrible. Like,
And that's the biggest game. That's the
yeah,
rivalry.
yeah. We
The
ended
city
up
said,
winning that game, but I think I only had like 3 tackles that game, and I missed like 2. So that's not a good game in my opinion. Jerry Howard was a man
yeah.
amongst boys back then, or he still is, but it's raining hard. But yeah, Jerry Howard, he made me look silly out there that game.
He's still at
Um,
Georgia Tech.
no, he just transferred, and I tried to get him to go to Mercer with me. He got offered by Mercer, but he ended up at Towson.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that'll be a good fit for him. He'll be the starter there
Yeah.
easily. But yeah, he made me look silly that game. So I bounced back. We ended up playing like before our region, we would play all the 5A teams in the surrounding area. So Northwestern, Rock Hill High, Nation Ford, and then
I
we
mean,
play
y'all
like an out of state game.
for those guys, yeah.
Yeah, we play an out of state game. So my 11th grade year, we played, I want to say St. Francis or something like that, which at that time they had like the top running back in Maryland or something. And we went to Maryland to play them. We lost that game off some BS. But after that game, we came back to the crib and we played Mallard Creek that week. And
Yeah. Mallard
Mallard
Creek
Creek,
was top 25, top 15 at the time in the country.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mallard Creek was top 15, and that was before we had broke the top 25.
Yeah.
So we were like sitting right outside of it, like 30 or something like that. and we played Mallard Creek at home. But that week was the first week they took me out the starting lineup at DB.
Wow.
So they moved me from safety to corner that week. And I was a backup behind a stud kid, but at that time he was a 10th grader, Jalen Mahoney. He's at Vanderbilt right now. Hell of a
Yes.
player.
Start a nickel for Vandy.
Starting everything, like safety, nickel, corner. He's been balling. He's gonna end up being a guy that's drafted because he's just such a technician. But that's besides the point.
I actually did his report about a month ago. I forgot to tell you about that.
Yeah, that's what's up. We're gonna have to chop it up about that. But stud of a kid. But like I'm feeling like I was the starter. Like how'd this happen? Anyways, so during that game they end up putting me at slot. Keep in mind, I haven't played any slot like the whole year. And this was like second half. I ended up with like 6 catches for 108 and then a touchdown. I think it ended up getting called back. But I ended up balling at receiver that game. So the next week we started our region schedule and like I'm going into practice thinking I'm still playing DB. And Heron comes up to me. He's like, "Yeah, Mac, Jason McManus. He was our OC. He one of the best in the country, honestly. But he's like, yeah, Mac wants you to play receiver." I'm like, man, like here we go with this again. Like I what do y'all not understand about? I don't want to play offense, right?
Yeah.
So they put me in offense. We end up, at that time, our offense was putting up, I want to say like 22 points a game.
Yeah.
And at the end, that was our out of region schedule. And then our region schedule, I think we ended up averaging like 48 a game. And that was just like from adding me because at receiver, you had me, Gilmore, JP Pendergrass.
Yeah, I remember him.
And then,
he's still
yeah, he's still crazy. And then we had a dude named Muhammad, Jonathan Muhammad. He ended up going to state, but he ended up like falling off the radar. Literally, nobody knows what happened to him. So our offense was insane. DK was at quarterback, and then you had Pooh Bear, Vashawn St. Hill at running back.
God, bro, he was a dog.
Crazy. Our offense was insane. So then the next year, senior year, I'm still at receiver, and like we continue to blank, like go crazy. I forget what our receiving record was, but like after the first 4 games, I was on pace to break it by like 400 or 500 yards because I was at like half that and we weren't even done with our outer region schedule. I was at like half that. So then we like get towards the end of outer region after the Beaufort game. And I don't touch the ball for 4 straight games.
Wow. Like, so he's had to run around.
Yeah, basically. Because teams would just double team me every game and like there wasn't like any like they would low high me, just have a guy follow me underneath and then keep a safety over top.
Yeah, just bracket you.
Yeah, bro, boy was it annoying. And then after that I ended up getting some more catches and then I think I barely missed the receiving record by like 60 yards or something. And the guy who has it had like 30 more catches than me.
Yeah.
So during this time, like from freshman year, I was highly recruited. I think at that time, Tennessee was showing a lot of love, Chapel Hill was showing a lot of love, and Virginia. Those were my top 3. Tennessee was showing the most love because they would bring me up on visits like every weekend, like back-to-back home game. If they had back-to-back home games, they would bring me up, and that's how I met Amari Rogers and Cade Mays and all those guys.
Yeah.
We get to my sophomore year, and they bring me up there for camp. They're like, yo, we like you. We want to see you in person at DB. So then I ball out at the camp. Then they tell me, yeah, we want to see your film. I'm like, boom, I played JV this year, yada, yada, yada. And that's when like all the schools that were recruiting me kind of, fell off the trail. So my 10th grade year, no looks. 11th grade year, no looks until like spring going into senior year. So I like lost all the schools that were recruiting me, like all the Power Fives. And then state offered me spring of my junior year, going into senior year, they offered me to play receiver. And I'm like,
here go with that again.
like shit, bro. Here we go with this again. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy because like when people ask me, do I believe in God and like is God real? This is the story I tell them. Like, yeah, God's real, bro. Like
you got a sense of humor too.
Man, does he, bro? Does he? Like he uses us to glorify him and like just show that stuff don't really be going as we plan it, but it's all a part of the plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we go in that keep in mind this is my only offer going into my senior year. And I go dome my senior year. Like I said, like
I went to a few of those games.
And get to the end of the season, still no more offers, bro. Like not to play receiver, not to play DB, nothing. I end up committing somewhere mid through the senior year because it's looking like, I'm not getting any more looks. So I might as well, solidify me a spot somewhere to play ball.
Yeah.
I end up like signing in whenever signing day is, and then like a week later after signing day, Furman hits me up and was like, "Yeah, we want you to come play for us."
Oh my Lord!
And the Citadel hits me up. They want me to come play DB for them. And long story short, the DB coach, the DC at Mercer was the DB coach at Citadel at the time. So like that's how we got a relationship. It's funny how things work out, man. So I end up going to school, and like I'm going dumb at receiver as a freshman, like like going crazy. But the receiver coach, I don't know what I did to him. I swear I don't. But he like literally everybody will tell you at state that year, my freshman year during camp, I was going dumb, and they were like, "Yeah, you should have at least gotten the rotation." This is what I swear to God, this is what the coach tells me. He goes, "Yeah, you're good, but you're not gonna play because you're a freshman. We got older guys there."
Man, they was trash, bro. I don't care who was in front of it.
Bro, literally that same day, I go to the defensive coach. I'm like, "Yo, like, what can I do to get on the defensive side of the ball?" He's like, "That's funny you say that because I heard you could play safety, and we need some depth at safety right now." So after a couple of days, like at first, Coach Pugh, he's the head coach at South Carolina State. At first, he was like, "No, we want you to play offense. That's what we signed you for." Yeah. And then I tell the DC, I'm like, "Yo, he's not gonna let me come. You gotta talk to him." And they have their little meeting, like, "Yeah, we need a safety." So coach called me.
The receivers coach was Coach P. What was his last name?
No, the receiver coach at that time was Coach Ferrier. He was only there for 1 year. He got fired after that year.
Okay. I was trying to think which one they recruited me when I was in high school, but I'll continue.
Yeah, he had to get out of there because I mean, like, I still to this day don't know why I wasn't in the rotation at receiver. So midway through camp, I end up switching to safety, and I make the 2 deep like after 1 day. It was a 5th year senior in starting right there, so of course I wasn't gonna start immediately. And so we end up playing UCF. We played Georgia Southern first. I didn't really play much until garbage time. UCF, I got in the rotation a good bit because they ran that fast-paced offense that year, no huddle. So every so often Chris would have to come out just from being tired. That was a lot to deal with. So I played a good bit that game. I think, bro, I think I had like 40 snaps that game, which is
What's their
like
number?
that's like a lot for like a two deep guy at
I
the
mean,
time.
if you want to have a good DB room, you want to have about 2 or 3 guys that can play 40 snaps. That way, you guys are fresh at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
then we played somebody else the next week. I don't touch the field at all, and we ended up losing that game. And me, I'm a competitive guy. I hate losing. I tweeted this the other day. I was like, I don't understand how people keep score and then say they want to do it for fun. Like either we're gonna keep score or we're gonna do it for fun. There's no in between. Like, I hate losing. And then so after that game, I literally cried, like bawled tears. Like, yo, like we lost, and like I know I could have done something. And the DC comes up to me after the game, and he goes, strap your shit, cause next week you in there. And like me thinking like, here goes this politics bullcrap.
yeah, they gonna talk.
They just saying that to keep me happy. Next week we get out to
Being
practice.
at practice, yeah.
Bro. Next week we get out there. They call the ones, and I'm still on the sideline. He goes, "What are you doing, Chris? You out? Scott, you in?" Bang! I'm out there ones, and we play our rival this week, A&T.
Yeah.
Biggest game of the year. Went dumb. I had like 7 tackles, bro. Like a couple PBUs.
Bro, I remember. Didn't you win like the player of the week that week for the school?
Bro,
it was.
Yeah.
I remember tweet out a graphic of you, and I was like, okay, you know, stupid.
So I won player of the week that week from like the school perspective.
Yeah.
The next week we played Delaware at home. I won National Defense Player of the Week.
That's the week. That was the week. Yes.
I won
Bro, you went
FCS
stupid.
Player of the Week. So no, whoa. Back up. We play A&T. Then the next week we play Morgan State up at Morgan. We lost to A&T. Next week I catch the game-winning interception. That's our first W of the year.
Yeah.
The next week we play Delaware State at home. Went dumb. I had like 11 tackles, bro.
Yeah, I thought it was like 12 tackles.
11, 12 tackles. I had a pick. I had a fumble recovery. So I won FCS Defensive Player of the Week.
Bro, Joe was fire. I remember that.
and then the next week, I got into it with a coach during practice. Something happened, and the D-line coach comes up to me. He's like, "You stupid motherfucker!" Yeah. And so I'm like, "Bro, who you talking to? Like you got me fucked up." And so I don't play the rest of the year, bro. The rest of the year, I don't play the rest of the year. Come back.
Hold on, did they approach you on some disrespectful type stuff? Well, obviously, D-line.
Like,
what was the initial?
Bro,
like?
The initial thing was like I didn't hit the right like run gap coming downhill. Like I hit the wrong gap. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
Which and that's what practice for. Like come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm a freshman. Like shit don't be that like it's serious, but like that's what practice for. Like so I can learn. You know what I'm doing. Actually, matter of fact, I played one more game. I played Howard we played Howard, and then the week after that was when that happened. I didn't play the rest of the season. So come back, and they tell me during like spring, they're like, "Yeah, you're not playing safety next year. You're gonna play corner." And I'm like, "Huh?" Like I just went dumb at safety. What are y'all doing? And I'm not even starting at corner.
Yeah.
So it's spring ball. We go through a good bit of spring. I catch the flu. I'm out for like a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come back, and the day I get back, it's the day of the spring game.
Yeah.
During the time I was out, we had a corner go down with an ACL injury. So it's 2 corners on my team, and the other team had 3 corners.
Yeah.
So I don't rotate the whole spring game. I'm out there dead, but like I blanked at corner. And so the next year I end up being the starter at corner. I think I gave up like 4 catches. Yeah, I gave up like 4 catches, and then up until this point, so like I've always loved returning punts. It's just something I've been good at or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to the special teams coordinator. I'm like, yo, like we're not getting any like type of livelihood off of returning punts. Put me back there. I will do something with the ball. First play, I get back there. This is after the first series of the FAM game. It's like 5th game of the season. I catch a punt, make 2 people miss. The second guy made miss. He clips my legs. I'm stumbling, and then like when I hit the ground, I'm down, and their long snapper comes and hits me while I'm down. Boom! I tear my MCL. I'm out rest of the year. So that's what they tell me initially. Like, yeah, you're probably gonna be done the rest of the year. And so I got my MRI and stuff. They were like, it's not a clean tear. It's a slight tear. Work hard enough, you can be back by the time y'all play A&T this year, which is like 2 weeks away, bro. So I'm going dumb. Like me, I'm a morning guy, so I don't like to do anything past 2:00.
Oh God, I feel you on that.
So instead of like going to the training room at like 2 or 3 or anything, I would go before practice. So I'm in the training room at 4:30 every day. I'm working my tail off trying to get back. I finally get to the point where I can like jog and run in a straight line, and then I get to a point where I can like make breaks after like a week and a half. So it comes A&T week. Me personally, I didn't feel like I was at the point to where I was 100%. Like I felt more like 80, 85-ish. Maybe not even that high, but the trainer's telling me I look good. Like it's just all in my head. So I'm going with it. We get out there, practice and team period, and I hurt myself literally like the first rep, like re-injured.
Make it worse.
After that, they kind of just pushed me to the side. They didn't really care whether or not I like trained in the mornings or whatever. And so this is when I hit my like downhill slope or depression. That's why I tell people like 2020 was the worst year of my life. So I hit my little downhill slope. I getting like to this depression. Keep in mind, I really never wanted to go to state in the first place. It just was my only option. I'm like real down bad. I end up, crossing my frat, which was a positive, but like I'm still in a bad place.
Yeah.
So the next year comes, fall of the next year, we're working out and stuff. And
wait, what was? Obviously, we're gonna get back to that part, but like, what was that place of depression like for you though? Like, what was?
It was like, I mean, me, I'm not the type of person that like tries to fit in, but at the same time, I want there to be people like that are like me around. You know what I mean? And like the guys at state, they're great, but it just didn't seem like anybody was on the same wave thought process as me. So that, along with me already not wanting to be there, along with me not really feeling like the school was giving much of a challenge.
So the combination of football's not really working out, and then the combination of like the people that are there aren't really the type of people that you want to have people around you that
hang around,
that grow you and everything. You pretty much in a place where you felt alone, literally.
Yeah, literally, like and like that's why I tell people like I was down bad at state. It was the worst state I had ever been in. Like I don't like when people claim depression or anything like to be cool or whatever, because like I take that shit seriously.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend, we always tell each other like mental health matters. Like, so whenever anything's wrong, we need to talk to each other, and that's something I did a terrible job of. Like, I wasn't telling anybody, I was down. So it got to a point where I was like, fuck it, like, do I even want to play football? Um,
Mm.
do I even want to be here? So I tell my parents that, like, yo, I think I want to transfer. Um, and it it my dad was like, just weather the storm, see whatever, yada yada yada. And my mom was kind of on the same thing. But things just progressively got worse. Just the like it now looking back at it, like, it's not that big of a deal, but while everything was going on, it was like the last straw for me, because I was already, down bad, didn't want to be there, had in my mind that I wanted to transfer. And I had been weathering the storm for, felt like,
Ever.
a year and a half. And so it's fall workouts or anything, we find out we can't play, and I'm already pissed. I'm there, like I want to transfer. Nobody's telling me like it's a good idea, but I know I don't want to be here.
But that's
Um,
the thing that people don't really understand. We see people on Twitter and stuff talking about this is our generation is the generation of quitters because guys are
yeah,
transferring. Like people don't understand. Like it's far more than just the football
it's
part.
far more than just
And
football,
like,
bro.
and even then on the top end, when football is good, like that's bro, it's not sweet playing college football, dude. Like that junk is
Yeah,
not
like it's
simple,
just a, your life, bro. Like
bro.
this
You
is
do
what
what we
you do from
do.
sun up to sundown.
You do what we do on a daily basis, and you go tell me that it's worth just getting a scholarship, just
Yeah,
having your school pay for it. You
bullshit,
come live our life and tell me that. While someone else
bro.
controls your whole schedule, does things intentionally to try to break you at the end of the day,
Yeah,
which is cool. Like that's how you want to build your team, whatever. But like sometimes they just do things to intentionally try to get guys to quit, get guys to break. It's oh that's a whole nother story for another day, man.
so like everybody's telling me like you don't want to transfer, yada yada yada. So I end up going from like starting corner to like third or fourth string, and so that's like what's going on? One, two, don't want to be here. I want to transfer. Three, the school doesn't teach anything. Like I bro, I learned from since I transferred, I've learned more in the past semester than I did my whole time at state. And like, and nobody does their job there. It's just like it's not my environment, like I want to be somewhere where people want to be there, people want to grow, people don't want to be stuck in the same well, if we win we win, if we lose type of mentality. No, I'm a fucking competitor. I want to like whoop everybody's ass weekly.
Mhm.
And so like I'm already feeling like it's not my thing. And then like we're doing fall workouts, I kind of tweak my knee again, but not like bad. So I go to the trainer. I'm like, yo, I want you to make sure everything's all right. And like I kind of tweak my knee, and she's like, what do you want me to do about it? And I'm like, oh,
Your job,
I
maybe.
was like, what? So I go up to the DC. I'm like, yo, like every time I go to the trainer and tell her like anything's wrong, like I don't know if she thinks I'm like faking or whatever, or like what it is. Cause I'm not the type to fake injuries. Like I want to be on the field,
I came here to play football.
And like I don't want you to tell me I'm hurt at all. I want you to tell me like this what you need to do to
Get
make
back
this
to
go away.
facts.
And she's like, yeah, what do you want me to do about it? So I go up to DC. I'm like, yo, every time I go up to her, she's like dismissive of what's going on with me.
Mhm.
And so he's like, I'm gonna talk to her, go see her tomorrow. Boom, go see her tomorrow, same thing. And I'm just like at this point I'm like over it. I go to my room after I call my mom. I'm like, yo, like I'm transferring today. Like it is what it is. And I go get in the portal. Some schools hit me up, a couple different schools. And Charleston Southern ends up like, contacting me and they're like, yeah, we like you, whatever. But we don't have money for you right now. You come ball out and we'll throw you the scholarship. And this is the DB coach at the time, Greg. I think he's still DB coach, Greg Moss, whatever. So like there were other schools throwing me money, but they were like far. Like one school was Valparaiso up in Indiana, and that's like a 13-hour drive.
They offered me out the portal this year. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Like one of my things is like I want my family to be able to see me play.
Yeah.
And then like if anything were to go down, like
you can get home.
I can get home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what it is. I'll go to Charleston Southern. I'm obviously better than their DBs there.
So you go get the scholarship. You just gotta
I just gotta do what I do. So the semester starts and I meet up with Coach Moss like the first day of the semester. We meet up and it's COVID and everything. So I wasn't able to go into the team building because I hadn't gotten my corona shot, or not corona shot, but corona test back yet. So he's like, yeah, once your test comes back, and we see you're clear, we'll get you through with the staff, get you added to the roster, whatever. And so my test comes back, I hit him up, and he just ghosted me for like 3 weeks straight, bro. Like dead ass doesn't respond to a single message.
What's his name? What's his name? Was it?
Greg Moss.
Cool.
And like I'm like, all right, I don't know what's going on. So, ultimately, like I end up like making it known that I'm still in the portal. Mm-hmm. But before that, I hit him up. I was like, yo, I'm not trying to blow you up. I'm just trying to figure out like, am I gonna ball or not? You know what I mean? Like, if I can't play here, that's cool. Just tell me that so I can leave you alone. Cause I'm not the type to beg to be somewhere I'm not wanted.
Yeah. Like you got to keep in mind at this point, a coach has told you you're going to get a chance to play. You're pretty much on the team, but then you pop up.
I'm there at the school.
Yes, like you're enrolled.
Like I'm enrolled. I have an apartment here, bro. Like, the fuck is your problem? You know what I mean?
And now you all of a sudden don't exist. That's crazy.
Nah, I don't exist. So I hit him up. I'm like, yo, like I ain't trying to blow you up or anything. Cause I texted dude multiple times. He just ghosted me, didn't respond. I hit him up. I'm like, yo, like, what's good? I'm not trying to blow you up. Like, let me know what's good. And he tells me, yeah, we just don't have enough numbers. I'm like, first of all, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, because usually.
Secondly, all right, bro, that's cool. Like, be about your day. I'm gonna be about my business. So, like I said, I make it known I'm still in the portal, and full circle how God works. Because I always loved Coach Taylor, love him to death. And I hit him up.
Tell people who Coach Taylor is.
So Coach Taylor, like I said, he's the DC at Mercer, but he was the defensive backs coach at Citadel, and like I said, they offered me after I had signed. So we'd always been cool. We always had a cool relationship. And I love him to death. I like how he coaches. I like his mentality about the game. I like his schemes, whatever. So I hit him up, and I'm like, yo, coach, I'm in the portal. I'm just hitting schools up. Let me know if y'all need a safety or anything. Boom. He hits me back same day. He's like, that's funny you say that. Like, we could use some depth at safety. We could use a guy at safety. And long story short, I end up, committing and signing to go play at Mercer, and that's where I'm at now. But yeah, man, it's been a long, rough journey. Just going from like being that guy that's at the top to feeling like I'm nothing, going out of seems like I'm going away from what I want to do. back to it seeming like I'm a guy, and then back to downhill depression slope. And again, that's why I say 2020 was the worst year of my life.
Right.
And this isn't something I've shared outside with like my family and like my closest friends.
Mhm.
And like I don't say this all this stuff for like cool points or for anybody to feel bad for me, because like if like to this point I just feel like stuff like that is just gonna happen to me because that's just God trying to build me, and I just feel like that's the way I grow through adversity. And if it's not hard, it's not for me at this point. You know what I mean? Not that I'm saying like everything has to be terrible for me to be great, but like if there's not a challenge there, then it if it's too easy, then it's probably not anything that's gonna make me better, essentially. And so through that time, like me and God's relationship is gotten closer. I've gotten back in my word, and like saying this stuff is like almost bringing me to tears, because like how far I've come from just within the past year. It's been amazing. And I'm just happy that I get to play ball again, honestly.
Yeah. Like
But
we're talking 2020 was a year where everybody learned about
yeah,
themselves, about others around them. And obviously, it's crazy that in the middle of a pandemic, you were one of those people who was having the worst times of their life.
yeah,
But you come out on the other side, and now you're the person who you spread positivity. You make sure
hmm
people are positive. So, like, even you probably have been that guy all the time who's been a guy your whole life that wants to spread positivity,
yeah.
or was it being in that time that made you come out and be like, okay, this is what I have to do now. I have to be this guy consistently. Like, how did that come about for you?
Yeah, man. Like I'm a charity guy. I'm a guy that loves to give back, because not saying like I'm rich or anything, but like my family's always had it, you know?
Mhm.
Like my parents, like I said, they're not rich, but they don't struggle to like get me and my sister stuff.
Mhm.
Um so I grew up kind of spoiled, and I always saw like people like they're less fortunate than I am. And that's why I love to like just give back, even if it's something small. Like when I was in high school, I was a pretty big name around Rock Hill. Like when I would go places, people would recognize me, and like I have no clue who they are,
Mhm.
because I was always one of those people that like took their helmet off on the sideline. Like people could see my face or
Yeah.
whatever, and like I was full of animation when I was on the field. So they were like, "Yo, that's number 12. That's Scott Robinson." Yada yada. So like even if it was something like just throwing the ball with kids, or like pulling up to the YMCA and just like chilling with the kids or whatever. And
Yeah.
then when I got to my freshman year, and I came into like a little, like not like a bunch of money, but like some like a decent bit, like
Yeah.
four or $500, because I was working like all the time, and like I was getting like 400 or 500 a week,
Yeah.
um and like I wanted to, do something bigger. God put it on my heart to just like do something bigger than spend time with people. And I started this little charity thing. It's a Christmas toy drive I've done every year since my freshman year.
Oh
Um
wow.
and the first year I started it like real close to Christmas. I think I raised like $1,000 worth of toys or something like that.
Mhm.
And then like various different like shelters and stuff around Rock Hill. I'll drop like toys off. I'll ask them beforehand like what's the age groups you got this year, stuff like that. So I'll drop like toys off for, like, I put my own money into it, and then like I took donations from people. So
Yeah.
there was a good bit of toys and stuff. And
Well,
so
let's make sure we use that this year. Like, let's
oh
make
yeah,
sure
for sure.
those are with those you guys who follow on campus with JB and Skiggy. Like, make sure we get a part of this toy drive this year when Christmas
Oh
comes
yeah.
around. Let's make sure that we're giving back to those people who don't have a lot. Like some kids, like I was a kid. I didn't always have much, but sometimes we did struggle. And it's like you get these 3 things on your Christmas list for Christmas. That's all you get. So
Yeah,
and to imagine how I felt as a kid, feeling like I had less for that. Imagine the kids who don't get anything for
and
Christmas.
that's the
So
thing. Like these kids I'm giving to don't get anything because they don't even have homes. Like they're in shelters. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So and then the next year after that went fairly well. And then this past year was like explosive. Like I think it was like $3,000 or $4,000 worth. Like I had so many toys that like I had like leftovers the after Christmas, so I just had
Yeah,
to like find kids to give stuff to, bro.
that's
And
awesome.
so that's been like a real blessing for me. And like I've always been like a spread positivity, find the optimism in things kind of guy.
Mhm.
Um, like that's my daily motto: spread positivity. What can I do to make somebody else smile today? And like I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but like I don't like feeling like how I felt the past year.
Mhm.
And like my passion is helping people. My passion is just like making sure other people are straight. Like, yeah, I want to go to the league and yeah, I want to get rich, but that's not why I want to go to the league, you know? I want to go
Yeah.
to the league so I can make sure mom's straight for all the stuff she done been through the years. I want to make my
Mhm.
sister make sure my sister's straight because like she after my Grammy died, like it was just me and her a lot because both my mom was a teacher, she was at school all day. My dad he works sun up to sundown,
Mhm.
so it was just me and my sister. I want to make sure those two are straight, and then like I want to give back to various communities, and I want to inspire like the younger generation that comes after us to know like it is okay to go through things and still like make it.
Mhm.
And it's okay to be that top guy. It's okay to be the bottom guy. It's okay to be that middle guy. Just as long as you do what you have to do to either make somebody else happy, make sure your family's straight, along with keeping God first. So that's just kind of my mission, man. And
And
that's why I do what I do.
And that's you talking about it's okay to be the top dog. It's okay to be the underdog too. I think that goes back to a point of the saying of God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, like you have to go out on a limb and trust that God is calling you to bigger things, even though you feel like you may not be qualified for it.
Yep.
You have to understand like God wouldn't put these doors in front of you just for you to simply open the door or just to simply walk through the halls. Like he wants
Yep.
you to come out he's gonna give you what you need if you do trust him to come out on the other end. So like not to put yourself in situations to succeed in situations at
Hmm.
the end of the day. And another thing that I want to ask you was you talked about 2020 being a down year for you in depression. What are some of the things now that you still struggle with on a daily basis that you're still trying to fix for yourself or trying to just keep level headedness about?
Yeah. So I'm coming out on like the back end of that
Mhm.
whole downward phase, and like still not 100%, but I'd say like I'm a 95%, just like coming out of it because there was just so much that went on. Like it just felt like I was getting beat up every day, but
Yeah.
like nobody could really tell because I don't try to put my stuff on others. I try to, make sure everybody else is straight. I try to spread positivity. Like I don't think if I would have told anybody this stuff, nobody would know like what went
Yeah.
on within the past year. Um, and because I just feel like not everything's about me. Um, like because other people go through shit too. So
Right.
it shouldn't be just me that's you know like everybody has got to make me feel better. So uh, along with that, like my mentality, like I didn't communicate with anybody that I was down bad. Um,
Mm.
and this is kind of like personal TMI, and that like affected like relationships, like
Yeah,
that
that was
affected.
that was the biggest thing. You know, I talked about last episode. Like, if I had a bad game or something, I was a bad boyfriend, a bad
Yeah,
brother, a bad son. Like, how did what you were going through affect the way you treated
yeah,
people?
that affected like my relationships. That affected like me with my parents, that affected me with my girl. And yeah, now I'm on the back end, and I like me and my family, me and my girl have talked about it, and but like there's still like shaky stuff, we're like working the men stuff, and not saying like there's anything wrong with my relationships with my parents or my girlfriend, because all of us are still like going very strong, and like me and my girl are definitely, this is definitely the girl I'm gonna marry. So,
Yes,
but
sir.
but like at the same time, there's still things we have to work on because of who I was. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I mean, I take fault for a lot of stuff that happened relationships wise, but at the same time, like us as men have got to do a better job of like relaying our issues to people, because a lot of times we feel like if we're down, everybody's down, but like sometimes we just gotta let people know what's up, bro. Honestly,
It's
and like
uh,
like that's when my girlfriend started telling me like your mental health matters, and that's like our thing now. Like she got some stickers the other day. I told her I put it on my laptop because like
you better put it on your laptop too.
of course,
All right.
and like because like our mental health really does matter, and like it's eye opening to see how much it matters, you know.
Right.
But that's just kind of been my life up until this point, man.
It's crazy. You talk about like guys, men need to be able to relay their problems better, and we obviously struggle with that. And I've been terrible about that. Obviously, I'm sure at some point we'll get to an episode about my story. But I'm about to bring up a funny quote. Taylor Swift said in the song 15. She said, Time can heal almost anything." And sometimes, in a sense, you're like, "Oh, that's true," but that's actually the furthest from the truth. I feel like if you decide to try and let time heal things, it's just something that you end up putting a band-aid over, and
Yep.
that you're gonna have to go back to and learn to heal from later. But you're gonna have to heal from it later in a way that's gonna cost you someone else in your life because you never went back and addressed those things in the first place, or addressed them while they were there. And I've had that experience. I've had to lose people in my life the hard way because I was too stubborn about the things that I was feeling at the time, and now those things have piled up into different relationships with friends, girlfriends, or different people. Now it's like some of those things can't be mended, or if they have to be mended, it's going to take a long time to mend those things. Like that's just a big lesson, life lesson for not just men in general, but for everybody. I think the hardest thing we go to, like you said, is just communicating those problems. Like at the end of the day, you're sitting there, you're hurting, but you feel like if you go in your room at night, turn some sad Drake music on or something, that you might be all right at the end of the day. But it doesn't work like that. You really have to address your issues. And one of the biggest things that I've learned from one of my friends is telling me, don't internalize your failures at the end of the day. Like you're gonna have things that you're like, if you have a bad practice or if you have a bad day where you messed up something at work, don't internalize that failure as something that you failed. Now that failure is who you are. It doesn't make you, if you're really good at your job on a daily basis, you're a really good accountant, and you mess up a number that day, you're not all of a sudden a bad accountant because you made one mistake. You probably just made your first mistake in about 47 days or something like that. You see what I'm saying? So just trying not to internalize those failures and pushing those things on yourself is huge, especially when we're talking about guys like us who are athletes, and every day isn't going to be a good practice. You're gonna make mistakes. You play a game, you're not going to grade out 100, and that's just wow. That was really good stuff. You've given us some really good stuff here today, and it's one of those things that I hope people really listen to this episode. And we had a lot of happiness in the beginning, just talking about your story, growing up from a kid, but there's a lot of really good gems and life lessons that you can take from this. And like I told when we were on the Fin Maniacs podcast, that one day, like having you as my co-host has been one of the greatest. Is like you're the greatest person I could have gotten in this role. I think a person like you who talks about spreading positivity is something that I need in my life. I don't necessarily spread any negative things, but sometimes I just don't say I just don't say anything at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then when people are looking at me, because we're figures in our communities at the end of the day because of what we've done on the field, because what we're doing now at the end of the day. You've seen our following. Sometimes I have to be better about giving more to my following as far as, trying to help people out with being more exposing more of myself in a sense. Like I'm an open book, but I'm not an open book unless you come and talk to me or ask me. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
Like just going out and being real about these issues. Like this is what this platform was at the end of the day that we talked about wanting it to be from the start. And boy, you just knocked this out the park on Skiggy Day. But you want to talk about the longest Skiggy said segment? I don't think it ever this, man. Like,
Yeah, that's probably the most y'all hear me talk. Y'all know I don't do really too much talking on this show. I'm more of just the sit back and react kind of guy. But yeah, man.
And man, I absolutely appreciate you. First of all, appreciate you as a person. At the end of the day, have you in my life. Love you to death, man. Appreciate what you just gave to everybody. I hope people sit here and listen to this whole hour of this episode, man. Like you got to break it down in 20-minute spans. Take notes. I don't care. Like there's some really good things that you guys need to take from this. With that being said, like thank you for coming on another episode of On Campus with JB and Sciggy. Skiggy, any final remarks to close us out for the day?
Man, y'all know the motto. Make sure y'all spread positivity, man. Peace and love.
You and the drug got me inspired.
Sir.
I at it and I feel like I'm in space. You did. She throw it back. She got the pillow in her face. And I'm smoking on exotic. You might think the blunt is lace. You did. I know this chick that